It's that little voice that starts talking to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a little voice, the what ifs.
21 wins,
Yep.
1 draw,
Yep.
17 by way of knockout.
Yep.
Arguably significant amateur pedigree. Tell us a little bit about Hamzah Sheeraz. Tell us about your story.
As soon as I got injured and after the fight, I was like, I was in a dark space, man. The end result, if you let that control who you are, the mental pressure it puts on you is not good for you. The F1 car doesn't go around the track with the same tyres for the whole race, does it? It has a pit stop and it changes. And that's the same as a fighter. Having faith in your preparation is what kind of counteracts that and can kind of defeat that little voice in your head.
Hamzah Sheeraz's story extends far beyond the ring. A rising star in British boxing with an undefeated record of 21 wins and 1 draw. Since turning professional, he's had countless titles and is ranked amongst the top 3 middleweights in the world. But beyond the titles and triumphs, Hamzah shares a much deeper narrative, a story shaped by sacrifice, self-doubt, faith, emotional resilience, and professional transformation. And yet, through it all, he's shown up, stronger, sharper, and more focused every time. Hamzah's journey is beautiful. It's one of grit, grace, and growth. And today, we go beyond the headlines and hear it from the man himself. So, hello and welcome, Hamzah. Welcome to Mindlift.
Thank you.
First and foremost, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a
Pleasure.
very busy schedule over here, so we appreciate you being here with
No,
us.
thanks for having me.
So I'm going to start off a bit of a boxing style, tail of the tape.
Yep.
So 22 fights,
Yep.
21 wins,
Yep.
1 draw,
Yep.
17 by way of knockout.
Yep.
You turned professional in 2017
Correct.
with arguably significant amateur pedigree. Tell us a little bit about Hamzah Sheeraz. Tell us about your story.
Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning.
Going way back of how I got into boxing and how I am where I am today. A kid, you would never have thought a kid from Ilford with absolutely nothing would end up in Dubai here at the brain clinic. Do you know what I mean? If you said that to my 8-year-old or 10-year-old self, it'd be like, oh, you're talking like crazy. Like you wouldn't believe it. But how I got into boxing, my uncle was a boxer. It was in the family. He took me to a gym, and the love story began at 8 years old. 8 years old, I had an amateur career from 8 till 16 or 17. And then it wasn't really too much of a great amateur career. I reached a few national finals, won area titles, this, that, the other. Had over 100 fights, losing about 13 of them, so it wasn't too bad. Turned professional on my 18th birthday.
Okay.
Yep, on my 18th birthday, I signed my contract. And then from 18 to 25, it's just like the journey just is skyrocketed. And yeah, alhamdulillah always.
Excellent. So, what was the drive? I mean, you mentioned at 8 the love story began. What was it that got you motivated and sort of pushed you along this journey?
Do you know what it comes? The motivation happens in phases. It happens in phases because you break new ceilings and you have new goals and new opportunities and new kind of realities and dreams and whatnot. The further you go along in your career, so before I even turned pro, the dream was to sign a pro contract. That happened. Then it was to win a pro title. That happened. Then it was to go on and become a kind of household name within the UK or within the world of boxing. That happened. And then, yeah, it just kind of the goals and whatnot, they change. The smaller goals, they change. Ultimately, the biggest goal is to be the best, to win world titles, to unify divisions and cement my legacy. That's the big goal, and that's always remained. But from young starting, I think the motivation was to kind of just, number one, make my parents proud. That was always one, and it's a universal one as well. Do you know what I mean? And then as I got older, I kind of wanted to, you know, the usual story: pay the mortgage off, retire my mum from work, and just create a comfortable environment for my family, for my friends, and for myself. And that's more so outside the ring, and then inside the ring, like I said, unifying divisions. But yeah, that's where I was at in terms of goals. And now where I'm at, if you ask me now, is kind of to get back on track, number one, and to get back in position to fight for world titles and to win one ultimately.
Yes. So there's a lot to unwrap there.
Yeah,
So
loads.
when we met first, I remember first interaction. I asked you, Hamza, genuinely, what's the purpose? What's the point of being here? What's the goal? What's the aspiration? And it sticks with me. The point that you said, to be the best. I just
Yeah.
want to be the best.
Yeah.
Very simple. So that ultimately is your goal.
Mm.
Now, boxing itself is a very interesting sport
Very
for me,
interesting.
and the interesting part about it is that I find the synergy almost meshes very well with how we see health and performance. And everyone asks me this: what is health? What is performance? How do you become the best at your within yourself and your health and performance? And it's this jigsaw puzzle that I talk about: physical, mental, cognitive,
Yep.
and dietary and nutritional. And we touched on these elements.
Yep.
But I want to use this opportunity to touch on all of those four elements.
Yep.
So let's start with something very simple. Let's talk through psychological aspects.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the mental pressures. Boxing at times can be a lonely place, and the resilience required. Talk me through your approach, how it changes.
Do you know what? It always has been a lonely sport. It always has been, because you're in there on your own. At the end of the day, it's just you and your opponent. You have the team aspect of it, of up until you step into them ropes, your team is with you and done everything with you and done everything to their kind of maximum capability to make sure that the result is in your favor. But like you said, when you step in there, there is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure because you don't want to let your people down. Number one, not just your team, yourself, the people closest to you, the people you don't even know who are supporting you around the world. So you try, as an athlete, you try not to think about these things because the pressures affect your performance. And I've been a product of that in my last fight. I've been a product of that. And that's why speaking, if you asked me before the fight, I'd give you a different answer. But now, speaking from experience, you have the answer. Once you start playing into them factors, it affects your performance and also the outcome of a fight, the end result. If you let that control who you are, the mental pressure it puts on you is not good for you. It's not good for you as a human, not good for you as an athlete, not good for you as a friend, as a family member, as anything. It changes you to who you truly are. So when it comes to mental pressures, yeah, it's crazy.
So the counter argument to that is, we do need pressure, though.
100%.
So how do you use
We need the
that?
right pressure.
Yeah. How do you funnel
Because
it?
everything I just named is the wrong pressure. The right pressure is knowing that you've trained to your maximum capability, knowing you've put in the hours, knowing you've put your trust in your team, and knowing that your game plan, when you put trust in these factors, the pressure that comes with it is good pressure because it enables you to perform at optimum performance. So there's good and there's bad. Do you know what I mean? I've been on both ends of it. And yeah, it's all about finding that fine line, which is the hardest bit to do.
And obviously, with time and experience, obviously you're getting to that point.
Of course, with the correct factors, it makes it a lot easier. Do you know what I mean? With having mental clarity, with having physical clarity, because you hear mental clarity all the time, but when you're talking physical clarity, you need your body to perform at these levels. So going into a fight, your confidence is through the roof, and you know that if push comes to shove and you need to get down and dirty, you can do it, no problem.
So here's a question. When you talk about these pressures and we talk about doubt at times, have you ever had self-doubt?
Yeah, you have. I mean, I'd be lying if I'm sitting here and saying as a human I've never had it, because we've all had it. We all have it, and we all have had it. It's that little voice that starts talking to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a little voice, the what ifs, and ultimately, as a human, that is gonna happen. Regardless, it's gonna happen. But like I said, having faith in what you've done, having faith in your preparation, is what kind of counteracts that and can can kind of defeat that little voice in your head. And that's what I've found. That's what I've found throughout my experiences in life. Like for my first ever title fight, I thought that it's going to be such a hard fight, and I started overthinking, and I got in the ring, and it wasn't that bad at all, and that was because the preparation I had done was phenomenal, and like I said, the only thing for me that can counteract that is performance.
Amazing. Now, one thing that we've noticed also, and you talk about a lot about it, is you talk about faith in your preparations, but your faith is also an important
Of course,
aspect.
yeah,
And I know,
massive.
obviously, being a devout and a practicing Muslim,
Mm.
how much does that support you? How much does that push you through those areas of doubt?
Do you know what? That's kind of my safe space. That's kind of my safe space. You get so many fighters, athletes nowadays following the trends of other fighters, but they're not true to it. So me sitting here saying I pray 5 times a day, I do this, I would be a complete lie because I don't, and that's the truth of it. But in terms of being a good Muslim, I am. I believe I am, and I use faith as guidance because I believe without it, I'd be lost. I'd be a lost soul. I don't know I don't know what what my purpose would be. Do you know what I mean? What my purpose would be, and I don't want to ever be a hypocrite. So when I do talk about religion, when I do talking about being the best person I can be, and I do use faith, I always ensure and I always just say that, listen, I'm not the best person. I'm only human. I'm only human, and I like to get that point across because you'll be out on the streets, you'll be out, I don't know, wherever you are, and then you'll get someone come to you and they almost think you're an imam. Do you know what I mean? They think you're a scholar, and that's where confusion happens. So I like to always make be clear and give clarity to say I'm still trying to be the best Muslim I can also be at the same time, but as well as balancing everything else. So yeah, man, I got a lot of when I say a lot of, I used to have a lot of people around me, but now because of experiences and whatnot, we've kind of like downsized. And the people I have around me now are the people that always remind me about my faith and about staying on the right path.
Amazing. Amazing. So we touched on obviously psychological difficulties and challenges. I'd like to move on to cognitive. And what I mean by cognitive, I mean perception sometimes of athletes, elite level athletes, boxers, footballers at the highest level. Um, you're always the ones that really stick are the ones with the highest level of ring IQ or intelligence. People like your Muhammad Ali's, for
Mm,
example, Floyd Mayweather, operating at the very highest level. How important to you is that level of cognition? How important is it to you to be prepared, to be able to apply that preparation? How does it work with regards to your focus, your
mm,
attention, your
mm,
memory, all
mm,
of these aspects
mm.
that are they have an interplay, whether we like it or not,
Yeah,
within every aspect of
yeah,
life, but more so in boxing.
yeah.
How do you refine those skills and how do you then apply them?
Do you see the thing that all them guys have in common? The ones that you just named, they were bigger than boxing. They were bigger than boxing, and it wasn't the buck didn't just stop at boxing. They were also like humanitarians. There were people who use boxing as their platform to give back to others, and they use boxing as their platform to help others to do more than just box. Do you know what I mean? That's why you still talk about them to this day. And I suppose for me, what helps with that is being in environments such as the Brain and Performance Center. Because listen, I've been to many clinics before. I've been to many clinics before, and I'm not sitting here, kind of, pardon my French, but shitting on them. I'm not. We're not doing that. But ever since I've kind of been here and been in the H spot over here, the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, it the mental clarity that I've had now, and the kind of, oh, like before I always used to say, yeah, I want to do more than just boxing. But if you ask me what, I wouldn't know. And now you ask me, I have goals. I have a very kind of clear aspect of what I want as Hamzah Sheeraz, what I want as Hamzah Sheeraz the boxer, and what I just want from life.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, I asked you this question before, I think, once we were going to Jumma. I said, so boxing is a game of essentially, when you think about it, 12 3-minute rounds, 36 minutes. How do you, how does that pan out for you? How does all this preparation for what, 10 to 12 week camp, how do you transition from that point to when you're in the ring? How do you go back to fundamentals? How do you focus in on maintaining your focus? Do you switch in? Do you switch out?
Yep.
How do you remember? How do
Yep.
you access short-term memory,
Yeah.
long-term memory, adaptability?
Yeah. For me, it's more, everything's more muscle memory than anything else. Because listen, you train to such a high level physically for, like you said, 10 to 12 weeks, and if you're not doing it correctly, mentally you just switch off because you're drained, and your mind told you to do one thing, but your body physically can't do it. Your body physically cannot do it. So keeping the mind in frequent flow and connection with the rest of the body is a massive, massive kind of learning experience for me, because I'm just speaking off my experience. You know what I mean? I can only do that. And keeping the mind and the body in regular contact when you go into a fight, and you're deep, you say you're in 30 minutes, 30, 35, 33 minutes during the latter rounds, the more frequently you tell your mind to do something, it will do it. The body will naturally do it. It's just like when you're young, and if you're a good kid, listening to your mother's voice, as soon as she says something, you do it. Do you know what I mean? So that's the kind of connection you need to have in mind and body.
So you're pretty much aware of how you can refine that connection and
Yeah,
how that
yeah, but
basically.
then again, there has to be balance. You can't drain your body physically enough. So, like I said, when the mind tells it to do something, it can't do it. So you have to find that kind of happy medium, and it's I've found it before. I have found it before, and once you have found it, you know that's going to be a good night.
That's basically in your safe zone, you know.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so you talk about draining and you talk about the physical training. So
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about the nutritional aspect, because I know that you've got a relatively extensive team when it comes to your nutrition. How important of an aspect is the nutrition? And let's talk about how you're operating before a camp and during a camp,
yeah.
because one of the
Two
crazy
different things. Yeah,
because one of the crazy statistics you told me that
yeah.
I had to really, really understand was you walk around at about 90 kilos
Correct.
and yet you were boxing at 72
I was
kilos.
boxing at 72.
So you're
Yeah, I
talking about a
moved up a weight now.
20% reduction in weight.
But do you know what? As crazy as it sounds, eventually it catches up with the body. It does catch up with the body, and I'm pretty unique because my frame and how and where and like how I kind of operate and what I'm willing to do to make the weight. Not many fighters are willing to do it. And
So
like
just
a,
to check, you say what I'm willing to do. What kind of things? Give us an
it's
example.
listen, the weight cuts, they get very intense, very, very, very intense. Like you're dehydrated, and when you're doing these water cuts and these weight cuts, and you got these sweatsuits on, you got these t-shirts on, you're in a heated room, dry as anything, still trying to drain every bit of sweat out of you, to a point you start hallucinating. These are the type of things, and then next thing you know, in 24 hours, you've got the biggest fight of your life happening. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a good thing, but answering your question about how important nutrition is very important, very important. And if I could give any advice to younger fighters or people listening to this podcast, is stay true to yourself and your true weight from early on in your career, because I didn't, and that's why I am in the position I'm in now, is because I've got myself to a certain level in a weight category where, number one, the money is too good for me to do anything else, and the position I'm in to do anything in terms of fighting for world titles is too good as well. So now I'm, like I said, I've got the right people around me who have advised me correctly to move up a weight, and for my health and for my safety as well. But yeah, it all comes down to what you're willing to do as an athlete, but within your safe zone.
And getting down to that weight, the struggles that you've had, and you've touched on it yourself a few times, talking about that last fight being a little bit of a
Yeah,
almost a reality
that's what I mean.
check.
It catches up on you.
Yeah.
It's all well and good. Like I was at the middleweight for about 3 years. First year was easy to make, and then it was getting harder and harder and harder, and then slowly it starts affecting your performance. But because you're winning, you become ignorant to that. You become ignorant to that, and it's just at the back of your mind, yeah, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, and then it catches up on you. It does catch up on you, and that's why I was saying that from my experience, that would be the advice I'd give to anyone else.
Interesting. And how did you manage in your head to get over that difficult moment?
In terms of what, in the fight or making the weight?
A bit of both.
Making the weight is just you're there, like it's you're kind of in a, like I can't explain, but you're in like a trance, you're in like a trance state where it's just like the whole mission is you forget about everything but to hit them numbers, hit that weight, and you do anything to do it. You do anything to do it, and then once you hit the number, it's like a massive sigh of relief, and then you realize like, hang on a minute, I've hit the weight, but in 24 hours I got a fight. So then it's all about rehydrating properly, and then it's a whole process again. So you become so mentally drained because your focus is firstly intense, very intense on making the weight for the fight week of Monday to the Thursday. You make the weight Thursday night, then you weigh in on the Friday, and then you think, oh, cool, it's done now. But if you hang on a minute, I've got a fight coming up. Then your mind, it doesn't rest and it burns out. So yeah, that's kind of the aspects of that.
Because that difficulty that you've mentioned. So when we spoke, you mentioned you're making weight. Let's say you're making it at 72, and then you're pretty much fighting within 24 hours.
Yep.
And you've got a process whereby you've got to rehydrate,
Yep.
refuel.
Yep.
What's your weight when you go into the ring?
So it's about, I go from 72 to about 86.
It's 14 kilos in the
Yeah,
space
which
of
ain't, it's not
less than
healthy.
24
Which is not
hours.
healthy. Like you hear so many fighters, oh yeah, I put on this much weight after the weigh, and like it's not cool, man. It's not cool, and I don't know why it's become such a thing in boxing to do that, but it's just one of them things. It's not healthy at all.
Because the impact it's also having is surely you're not sleeping the night before.
No, you're not. You're
You're
dry
not
as
resting.
anything. Yeah, it's hard. You can't sleep. That's why after the weigh-in, and from the weigh-in to the fight, you try to do what the normal human body would take to recover in about a month, in about 20 hours, which doesn't make sense. But I've only learned this the more I've gone on my career. Do you know what I mean? I've learned it through experience. I've learned it through research. I've learned it through being in the fight game, watching documentaries, and it's just, you learn all these things as you go on.
Yeah. So it just sort of underlines for us, and we always emphasize this. It's at the elite level. I think there's an underemphasis on the importance of recovery.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone's all about, let me just give it 100%, 100%, 100% all the
Yeah.
time. But actually, the most significant gains are usually actually attained during that rest and recovery period. And I
So
think
you know
there's
what
that
is
massive
it? The
swing.
best kind of analogy I can give here is looking at a fighter as an F1 car. The F1 car doesn't go around the track with the same tires for the whole race, does it? It has a pit stop and it changes. And that's the same as a fighter. It's the same as a fighter, but not many people understand that. Not many people understand that. Like you said, going back, it's all about hard work, hard work. That's all you hear. I mean, you can only push the body at 100% capacity, not even 100% capacity, but let's say 85, 90% for a session. People do it for a whole camp and they just completely burn themselves out, come to the fight and they're just absolutely flat as anything. So yeah, recovery is a massive, massive, massive aspect of professional sports at a high level. But I think the mistake I kind of made was bringing it into my career latter rather than earlier. But the only thing is I didn't know about it earlier. And if I did, then I'd 100% have used it sooner.
Well, that's refreshing to hear. And it brings me actually into a nice point. We're talking about physical.
Yeah.
We're talking about physical being probably this part of this jigsaw, one of the last elements. Now, you've touched on obviously importance of recovery, importance of training, the risks associated with overtraining. How do you balance out pushing yourself just enough through a process of, let's say, 12 weeks in training camp, outside of training camp?
Yeah.
How do you manage these different elements?
That comes down to your team.
Okay.
Because as a fighter, as an athlete, 90% of the athletes out there, including myself, will push themselves to like exhaustion every day if they have to. So then that all comes down to the team you have around you, they control things. They say, all right, it all goes on numbers, right? You with heart rate monitors, Whoops, Garmin's, you name it. You get it all on and use it during your session, so you can see your HRVs, you can see your heart rate, and you can see if your performance is dropping, and how much recovery you need. Because that's what I say: men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Do you know what I mean? So using science is yeah, definitely beneficial. But so many fighters out there and so many trainers are so old school. They think a camp should be like a Rocky movie. You know what I mean? But it's yeah, definitely the wrong approach to have to it all.
Say Rocky movie, so now everything's shifting more to the
Yeah,
Ivan, the Drago, Ivan
yeah, that's it.
Drago
The Drago
type
movie.
thing.
Yeah,
And this is the interesting thing because I think elite level sports is now changing the world as we know it. We're seeing athletes performing into their late 30s and 40s at the highest level. I mean, boxing's always had examples. You've got your George Foremans who
yeah,
are in the late 40s winning titles. But I think other sports where the demands are much higher, football, tennis, you've got examples of Ronaldo, examples of Djokovic performing at the highest level at a much older age.
yeah,
Um, and this is quite a key point is elite sports doesn't operate it operates a completely different animal and we're aware of that, and there's so many tools now that are available that people are accessing to kind of understand how we can improve ourselves.
yeah,
So I know, speaking with your team
yeah,
personally, speaking with Paul, speaking with Manny, kind of the levels that we're at. I know that you undergo blood testing on a
yeah,
regular basis
yeah.
throughout a camp to
Yeah.
monitor all of the
The little things.
individual
Yeah.
markers. And why is it? It's because you're targeting what? 1%, 2%?
Literally, it's the 1%, isn't it? It's the 1%. And going back to what you're saying about advanced technology and advanced facilities, an example I can give from myself is my last fight. I injured my hand. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And coming here at the Brain Performance Center, listen, I've healed in 50, 60, even 70% of the time that I would have originally. You know what I mean? Quicker, I mean, than I would have originally. So I'm lucky because I've been exposed to these facilities and I've got the help of great people. So yeah, I think that's why now in nowadays and age you've got elite athletes performing for much harder and much longer, um, because of this.
So there's this shift towards training and working smarter rather than working harder.
Exactly, exactly. Don't get me wrong. You have to work hard still, um, but then there's balance. There's balance, and like I said, you have to find that balance as an athlete because it's not all the same. It's not the same for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same for everyone, but the concept of it all is more or less the same.
Now, you touched on being here with us and doing hyperbaric. Obviously, the benefits that you've gained from a recovery point of view. What other things have you noticed? Because we touched on recovery, we touched on
Yeah,
running. You told me that
yeah,
you were able to do a
yeah,
little bit more.
yeah,
Just talk me through, if you can, what benefits you've noticed, cognition,
yeah.
all of these elements.
So I'll break it down to you physically. Once I've been in HBOT for coming up to 2 months now, and you can run for longer. And this ain't just me just sitting here saying it's common sense because the more oxygen you have in your body, the longer you can go for because the muscles require less, don't they? So they can go harder for longer. Greater performances in my out of camp training, which will lead to greater performance in my in camp training. And from a cognitive kind of point of view, is a lot clarity because it goes back to what I was saying earlier about finding my true purpose in and outside the ring, and Hamza just as a human being. It's allowed me to think a lot clearer, and these all these all these kind of yeah, this whole aspect of performance physically and mentally as a fighter allows you to be a better human as a whole.
Um, so I was lucky enough last week actually to be joined by a very close friend of yours,
Yep,
Mr.
yep,
Adil Dittel. And one of the interesting things that he mentioned is finding you helped him significantly. He mentioned those words. the perfect dance partner.
Mm.
How much of an influence, how important has it been having that supporting figure for
Yeah,
you?
massive, because I've been in rooms and I've been exposed to environments that I never thought I'd be exposed to. Good ones, of course. Yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier, like that kid Hamza, that young lad from Ilford, being based in Dubai, being here at the Brain and Performance Center, would be like I was talking just dreams to myself as a kid. But thanks to him, now we're here. Now we're here, and the overall way of how I think, the overall way of how I perform, and it goes back to having that mental clarity is all more or less all because of him, really and truly. So yeah, I'm forever thankful, and yeah, moving forwards, it'll be there's a lot more to come. There's a lot more to come. I don't think we've even reached, not even reached like 20% of what of what's to come, really. Do you know what I mean? So we have still another 80% of it coming.
And what are you doing, or what is that driving factor, that motivation, that push to get you to that 80%?
The motivating factor is not being content. Not being content because I think, I wouldn't say failure, but once you start to be content with the little things around you, that you start being comfortable. And once you're comfortable, you lose the hunger. Do you know what I mean? Once you're around people like Adil himself and his friends, and once you're around people like this who have done very well, but yet are still hungry and still striving to achieve more, you think, hang on a minute, like I ain't even got a quarter of what these guys have got, and they're still like hungry for it. It's brilliant to be around, and that, like I said, that only rubs off of me as an athlete. Do you know what I mean? It only rubs off of me as an athlete, and think, listen, like winning one world title ain't enough. I need to do more, and me just being a boxer isn't enough as well. I need to be more than just a boxer. I need to use my platform to help others and use it not for my own benefit, but everyone else's benefit as well.
Yeah, so it's almost like not letting complacency set in.
Complacency, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And once comfort kind of creeps in, that's where failure like kind of starts to happen.
Amazing. Injury setback.
Yeah,
This was quite
yeah,
significant for
massive.
you. Well, what has it taken for you, apart from what you've done over here, to get back?
You know, as soon as I got injured and after the fight, I was like, I was in a dark space, man, because you think, listen, I can't even where going into a boxing gym would be like, as soon as you enter, the rest of your life is on pause. I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even do that because what was I gonna do in there? You know what I mean? I was injured, and especially coming off the draw as well. Mentally, you're in a very dark place because you're thinking, what on earth do I do to get out of this? Who do I speak to? What can I physically do? And you can't do anything. You can't do anything. And that's why I was blessed to be here, because as soon as this center was almost like my boxing gym when I didn't have it. Because as soon as I walk in here, I know I'm doing something about it. I know I'm doing something about my hand. I'm doing something to become that 1% better every day, and I know that I'm on the road to recovery. So as soon as I enter here, the rest of my life would be on pause. It's about giving 100% to this clinic, to being mentally, physically, spiritually present here and able to heal properly.
Amazing. So we actually went around our clinic
Yeah.
and we actually asked all the different people who have been involved in your care,
Okay.
people outside,
Yeah.
just to give us a few questions, and we
Yeah.
actually separated them into both boxing related and
Yeah.
non-boxing
All right.
related.
Cool.
So I want to ask you a few of these
Yeah.
questions. Simple, straightforward, quick fire answers.
Yeah.
Okay. So when was the first time, I feel like this is from probably the neuropsychiatrist, do you remember the first time you truly felt mentally tested in your career?
My last fight. Definitely my last fight, because it was just literally what I just finished saying. The fact that I was in a dark place, in territory I've never been before. But alhamdulillah, I come out of it.
How do you protect your mind and find balance amidst the pressure?
How do I? What was it? How do I?
How do you protect your mind
Yep.
and find balance
So I
from
break it. I
expression?
break it into three sections. Spiritually being connected with religion, because, like I said, it gives you kind of that sense of purpose and it gives you guidance. So you wake up and the first thing you start your day with praying, and you end your day with praying as well. Gives you that peace, gives you that clarity. Number two is the people I have around me. The people are, because their energy I reciprocate. So once when you're with someone and they're kind of not reassuring you, but relaying what you already know, it gives you that sense of, how can I explain?
So what's reinforcement?
Yeah, reinforcement. That's the word, reinforcement. And then number three is just having alone time. Having alone time is very important, because I've been someone who has always been exposed to having loads of people around me. And I'm not saying in terms of leeches and whatnot, but just being in environments where you've got so many different voices and opinions, you get lost. You're like a lost little puppy. You go into everyone, you don't know what you're doing. And once you isolate yourself from these situations, you sit down and have conversations with yourself and you say, all right, forget everything else. You have a conversation with a little mind in your head and you say, what do we want? Do you know what I mean? What do we want? And yeah, that helps a lot.
It's just on that one point you mentioned alone time. So I found very interesting. I hope you don't mind if I share this.
Yeah, of
That
course.
you always, before a training camp, take some time out to literally disconnect from the world.
Yep. Yep.
Go out to somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't, like I said, I keep using my last fight as a reference point, but it's because it was new territory. You know what I mean? And I went away for about 2 weeks, just isolated, and I had to find a lot of answers, in which I found I was searching for them before via other people and um, via the reassurance of fans, of supporters, of critics. But like I said, that's where you get lost, because you let them control you, um, and that's what you don't want. So I had to strip myself from that environment, just go out off socials, and just enjoy my own company and speak to myself.
Amazing. Um, how do you protect your peace and mental space in a world that's always watching? You touched on this just now.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
just it's the same answer. It's the same answer as that. Prayer and alone time. Yeah, prayer and alone time. But praying is really alone time, in it. So it kind of falls in the same category. And yeah, that's kind of my way of dealing with things, of protecting my peace as well. Because listen, I've let people in and I've let people ruin my peace as well. But sometimes I'm so blasé about it, I don't realize it's happening until something major happens. And I'm like, hang on a minute, why did I let that slide? And that's the mistake I made. So now it's like very, very precious to me.
It's almost preempting the fact that this could be going down. Let me just take some time to filter
Exactly,
it.
being aware.
Interesting. Um, what's your why today? What's your why today, and how has it evolved since you've started?
My why today is not going back to the same place I started from. Um, that's really and truly the main kind of reason. Like, I see the fruits of my labor. I see my family enjoying it now. I see the changes happening, and like, I can't imagine being back to like block number one again. You know, I could not imagine it. And you know, if you asked me before, it'd be like, oh, proving the doubters wrong, proving the haters wrong, all of that. But now I couldn't care less, really and truly. I couldn't care less, because now I know what I want out of boxing. You know, and what I want out of it, and what will make me happy, in and outside of the ring.
Um, what do you want young athletes to know about pressure, pain, and patience? Very good question, that one.
Yeah, cherish all of them.
Yeah.
Cherish every single one of them. Be in touch with your emotions, because I feel like, especially in boxing now, it's such a masculine environment. Mental health is almost overlooked, and not until Tyson Fury really showed the importance of it. No, everyone really took it for granted and just kind of fobbed it off. Now it was, what was the three? What were they? What was the
So
three?
pressure, pain, patience.
Yeah, pressure, cherish it. But like the point we was talking about earlier, know what's good pressure and what's bad pressure. What was the second point?
Pain.
Pain. It's a natural emotion, right? It's a natural feeling. Depending on what type of pain, learn from it. And use it to better yourself. And what was the last one?
Patience.
Patience is probably the best one. Patience is probably the best one because it's the theory of planting a seed, right? It's not going to grow straight away. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. So once you plant the seed, just know it's been planted in the back of your mind. And whether it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 years, weeks, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds, you name it, just know if you're putting in the hours, if you really truly believe in yourself, you'll reap the rewards afterwards.
It's a very Dubai thing. Sabr, sabr.
Yeah, it is.
Patience,
Yeah, honestly, it
genuinely.
is. Yeah, it is, and you need it, right? In whatever aspect of life we're talking here. Let's take a step back away from boxing, but just life, business, family, friends, whatever the environment, patience. You should learn how to like kind of preserve it. Number one, but understand that you'll you'll reap the rewards eventually.
And last one of the heavy questions. What legacy do you want to leave behind, both in sport and in life?
In sport, unify divisions, win a world title, but at the same time enjoy it. And then outside of the ring is I've said it before and I'll say it again. Listen, just change lives really. Be that motivating, inspiring factor in people's life. Even if it's one person's life, I'd be a very happy man.
Now the fun stuff.
Yep,
So boxing related.
go on.
Who's your boxing idol?
My boxing idol would probably be Prince Nassim Hamid. Not in terms of fighting style. I love this style, but for me, it wasn't something I could emulate. But because the razzmatazz he brought with it, he was the first of a kind to do what he does, and even to this day, he supports me. So yeah, a great guy, man.
So I met him, and interestingly, he said he actually used to get a lot of love from, especially the we'd say the ethnic minority communities, but he specifically said from the young Asian and Arabic community because he was somebody who people aspired
Yeah,
to
who
what
could?
he achieved
Yeah,
in the
they could
game
relate to him.
before anyone else.
They could relate to him. But not even in the ethnic minorities, but just from everyone, man. From everyone, he was the guy. You know what I mean? And there's so many stories that people don't even know about him in terms of the good he done. And I find that extremely inspiring because it shows he done it from his heart.
Yeah,
So yeah, what a guy.
amazing. So you said not necessarily style. So who's your favorite fighter of all time?
Favorite fighter of all time, Tommy Hearns. Uh, love Joe Calzaghe. I'll give you a few names. Modern day Canelo Alvarez. And yeah, them kind of that esque of fighting.
The generational ones. Okay. Now, if you weren't a boxer, what would you do?
I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'd like to say model.
That's coming soon, isn't it?
Hopefully.
Sure. Hardest puncher you've faced during a fight or in sparring?
In a fight, probably Amo Williams. Yeah, he could hit hard, man. He could hit hard, but eventually over the rounds you become numb to it. It's the first 4 rounds where the punches really hurt because the body has not felt it before, and once it starts feeling it, the brain kind of tells the body like, "Oh, we've been here before. It's cool." But yeah, you don't want to take too many punches.
And sparring? Anyone?
Sparring.
Or even your amateur days?
There hasn't been no one inspiring who I can think. Yeah, shit, he hit hard. No.
And this one was from Tanvi, actually, from marketing. What's your winning ritual? What do you do when you win a fight? Or how do you celebrate? What's your kind of thing?
To be fair, you get surrounded by so many people. You don't have time to kind of do what you want to do. But this is also another massive lesson I've learned is to do what I want to do after a fight. I listen to myself. And only until my last fight where I had a draw and I didn't have people wanting to take pictures or be with you because you're not the guy at the moment, that I had time to realize, like, okay, cool, after a fight, this is what I want to do, take myself away from certain environments. So yeah, in terms of winning rituals, I ain't really got one.
Don't go anywhere to eat. Don't go
No, no,
buy
no.
yourself something.
No, not really, not really. I do love to shop though. I do love, like, when we talk about retail therapy, for me, it's just a thing. It's a thing.
Amazing. Thank you, genuinely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your
No,
time.
thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
It's been inspiring.
Yep.
It's been aspirational for a lot of people, and for me, it's been fun.
Yeah.
I've been a big boxing fan and
Yeah.
been watching you for a while now. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed, a
No,
lot
no,
to
it's
come
good.
from
Thanks
this
for having
space.
me, man. Listen, the way I'm speaking is like I've been in the game for about 40 years, but I'm only 25, and this is kind of the first part of my journey. So, inshallah, when I do come back, do another podcast in a few years' time, I'm sure the dynamics will change again.
And inshallah, we'll be changing this tournament with a couple of your belts.
That's it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Hamza. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.